So for this next part, I'm going to show my process of how I make my attempt selection, and also a guide that you can follow along if you like. So when selecting attempts, it's usually based off the last heaviest lift before the comp day, or even before the taper. Some people are going to do, or most people are likely going to do their last heaviest lifts the week before the taper, but you could also do a heavy lift in that final week, and then you do the heaviest lift on comp day. But we won't get into that. But it's usually the last heaviest lift that you have successfully completed before the competition, and it might be something between a 9 or a 9.5 RPE. So from that lift, that last heaviest lift, I'm going to do a two-step process. One, I'm going to have a video of that lift, and I'm just going to do a visual estimation from that. So if someone did a 140 kilo squat at, say, a 9 RPE, I'm just going to look at that video and be like, you know what, they might have had about 5 to 7 kilos in them. And then also with that, I like to use an estimated 1RM calculator using RPE, which I will show you soon in the next few slides. So with that, you can plug in that they did 140 kilos for 1 rep at a 9 RPE, and that's going to spit out an estimated 1 RM. Something that I like to point out, that from the taper, it is possible that you can get around a 2 to 3% increase in performance from the taper. So you've had your taper, you've cleared, fatigued, and then you can show your best performance on the day. So on comp day, we want to have our strength at the highest and fatigue pretty low, so we can display our best performance on the day. However, I like to note that do not always rely on the taper, and that you are going to get a performance increase from the taper. Some people may not get anything from the taper. Some people may get a lot from the taper. But when I'm making my attempt selections, my first option attempt, which I will show in a sec, I do not want to include a performance increase in the taper. I want to do the worst case scenario, is that they got 0 increase from the taper. So I will do 3 attempt choices for my third attempt. So for my third attempt, there are going to be 3 options. Okay, so option 1 is something that I'm confident that they will be able to hit. So I'm 95% sure that option 1, third attempt, they will be able to hit. So doing that example before, how I said someone did a top single of 140 kilos and it was around a 9 RPE. I have a rate. I was like, I reckon they could do maybe about 145, 147 kilos. So 147 was like my absolute max. That's probably a grinder. I will subtract a couple of kilos under that, and we'll probably use the 145 as my option 1, because that's something that I'm pretty confident that they'll be able to hit. So for option 2, that's for on the day things might be moving well. The second attempt moved quite fast. So for that, we might go for that 147. So that original lift that I thought that was going to be like a real hard grinder, maybe I'm going to use that as an option 2, or maybe they got like about a 1% increase from the taper. So maybe 1 or 2 kilos extra than I was predicting originally. And then the option 3 is going to be things are moving really well. They came out, they did their second attempt, and it just flew up. It looked like they got some really good performance increase from the taper, maybe around a 2 to 3% increase. So then that option 3 is going to be just if it's a really, really good day. And you can see down here how I've got attempt 1, attempt 2, but now for these 3 attempts on one of this is actually from one of the lifters I had on the day. Option 1 was a bit of a conservative one, 218. the 220, which was something that I think that's going to be a real big grind. 220 for this particular lifter was something that they missed in their last comp, which was 8 weeks before this comp. So I perceived, you know what, by this time round, they can maybe do about a 220 if they grinded it out. And then 223 is that they just had an absolute awesome day. They were feeling really good. Taper works really well, and they got a few percent increase from that. Now, in terms of selecting the first attempt, I want to pick something that is easy and I know the lifter can get even on their worst day. So if they came in feeling horrible, sick, they broke up with their partner, they didn't get much sleep, I don't know, something went wrong. Even on their worst day, I want to pick the first attempt that I know something they can hit. Guaranteed. Okay? The common suggestion that goes around online is the first attempt can be something that you could do 3 reps with. Okay? And that can be about 91 to 93% of your 1RM. Alright? However, I like to note that some people's triple and single may not match up. So you might do a triple, like say 140 kilos by 3 reps, okay? And if you use the estimation 1RM calculator, estimated 1RM calculator, it's going to be able to add about 7%. It's going to be their predicted 1RM. This may not work for everyone because for some people, they might really suck at triples, but they're really good at doing 1 reps. So the difference between their triples and ones might be really large. It might be the other way around. Some people might be really, really good at triples, so they can triple really close to their 1RM, but that their 1RM is not far off that triple number, okay? So they're not very good at doing 1RMs, but they're very good at doing triples, okay? So you may not always use that percentage of the 1RM, so I like to do, again, a 2-step process, like I mentioned last time, when I'm selecting the first attempt. 1, I'm going to look at their video, probably of that top heaviest video, lift that they did in training, and I'm going to get a visual estimation of what I think the opener should be based off that video. Also, I'm going to look at other videos during the sessions, that training, either that week or even weeks prior. Okay, I might look at videos of that they did triples with, doubles with, or even easy singles from a few weeks before, and then I can see if that's going to be a good opener. And then, as I said, that you can also use the percentage of the 1RM as well to, I guess, see if your prediction from the videos made sense, which I will show you in a sec. But as I said, in most cases, the first attempt should be easy. Okay? If someone misses their first attempt, there is an increased chance that they will miss their next attempt. So I'd say in the majority of situations, people should not be missing their first attempt because the weight was too heavy. Alright, the only reason I think that in majority of situations that people should be missing their first attempt is they might have made a technique error, or they jumped a call or something like that. It shouldn't be that it was just way too heavy and it was a real big grinder. Okay, so for this, I'm just going to show an example of predicting someone's opener lift. So this was Laura. This was her heaviest top single squat before the competition. So this is a 148.5. So let's have a look at that. All right, so if we look at that 148, it was somewhat hard. It wasn't a grinder. It wasn't her max. If I had to predict how much weight, what her 1 RM is based off this video, I'd say she probably had about 5 to 7 more kilos from that lift. So if we be a bit more conservative and do 5 kilos rounded up on this 148.5, I'm going to estimate that her 1 rep max, according to this, is going to be about 154 kilos. Okay, so now as we said, that we can use percentages or the estimated 1 RM sheet this is an RPE chart to work out what is going to be around a triple. Okay, so if we said something around between 91, 92, 93%. If we go 91% times 154, that's going to give about 140 kilos. So from that number, now I'm going to use that to guide my decision. So let me look back at this. So 140 kilo, I think that makes sense, and that's actually the number I used for her opener. All right. So we had the percentages, the percentage way. I mentioned the RPE chart, which I could show you. So with the RPE chart, because I said something that you want to do about a triple with, right? So if we said 154 was a predicted 1 rep max. All right. If we look at a triple based off 154, it gives around 142. All right. That lines up with, if we base it off about 92%, all right, that's about 142. I prefer to go a little bit more on the conservative side and go with around 140 kilo opener, because I'm confident that that's going to be pretty easy for her. All right, so I'm getting little bits of evidence to guide my decision on what her opener should be. So I visually estimated from this video. I don't usually use this for me personally. I use this RPE chart like I did before. Then also something I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to her old training weeks. I'm going to see when she did a 140. Okay, so this was about maybe three or 4 weeks before this video. So if we look at this, that's 140. I think I'm pretty comfortable with that. I think even on a bad day, all right, she'll be able to make that pretty easy. Okay, so I went with 140 kilo opener. However, as I said before on this last slide, that I said that sometimes the triples might be hard. So someone might not be so good at triples, but they're good at singles. So if we looked at this one, so this is 134 kilos by 2. All right, this was actually about 1 week before. Actually, no, this was the same week. Sorry. All right, we look at this. And we watch this second rep. That was pretty hard. All right, so if I was going to use this chart and think that, or from this video, do I think she's going to do 140 for a triple? I think it's going to be super, super tough. So if I just use this video, let's say from here, I'm going to say I'm probably confident with maybe about, for a pretty hard triple, maybe 138 going from that. So, but then when I looked at this 140, this moved pretty easy. So I think this 140 single moved a lot easier than this 134 for a double. So, as I said, some people might not be so good at doing multiple reps, and they might be better at doing singles, and then vice versa. So, as I said, I'm going to take different bits of evidence so I can formulate what that opener attempt is going to be. So now after I have selected my third attempt, so I select my third attempts first, the next step I do is select my first attempt. And my last step I like to do is then I like to do my second attempt, because then I can make a bridge between the first attempt and the third attempt, okay? So what you will generally do is when you're making jumps between attempts, all right, it's either going to be the same size jump or it gets smaller. So for example, between first attempt and second attempt, we have a 10 kilo difference, and between attempt 2 and the best predicted attempt 3 is a 10 kilo jump, okay? But between the second attempt and I guess the worst option, third attempt, is only a 5 kilo increase. So I wouldn't do, say, 10 kilos between here and then 15 kilos between the second and the third. As I said, it's always going to be the same, or if not smaller. So because of that, how I want to make even jumps, this is when I'm just going to play around with my second attempt, because generally what I like to do, that the most best attempt is going to be probably the same gap jump. So this was a 10 kilo between first and second attempt. So in the absolute best case scenario on the day, we're going to have a 10 kilo jump between the second and the third attempt, okay? Between the second and the option 2, that's going to be what, a 7 kilo increase between attempt 2 and that second attempt. Or on the worst day, we're going to have a 5 kilo increase between the second attempt and that one. So with the second attempt, I actually just play around with different numbers. So I'll have this table and I think when I was making this, I was playing around with like 215, 214, 213, and I was just seeing what jumps will make sense between first, second to the third. All right. And that rule that I said of selecting the second attempt after I've done my third and my first. This is a rule that I kind of do on the day if I have to deviate from the plan. So just to note that it is okay, and you probably will deviate from the original plan that you made, which is fine. So let's say that they did their first attempt. We opened at a 203, okay? And I looked at that 203 and I'm like, I don't think there's any chance for them hitting a 218 kilo. All right, so from that first attempt, I am already trying to sort of predict what their third attempt is going to be, because if I had to cut that, so as I said, that I'm not confident they're going to be making 218, but they might be able to do a 216. All right, then because I know that 216, I'm going to adjust. Then I can work out what my second attempt is going to be. All right, because if I'm going to put that as a 216, all right, I don't want my second attempt to be too close to my first attempt, because if I make the second attempt too close to the third attempt, that might be quite tiring and it might cause them to miss their third attempt. All right, so I would probably drop my second attempt to make it a little bit easier to go for that predicted third attempt that I was thinking that they're going to get based off what their first attempt is. Okay, it might go the other way around as well. They might do that first attempt and it just absolutely flew up. I might be automatically thinking they're going to be further down here and I might adjust my second attempt. All right, that's something that might happen on the day. And again, that's how I said that sometimes you may have to deviate from the plan on the day.